Save the personal stories. All right, we are live. We are Wednesday. Of course, it's Wine Wednesday. And two things. That is not Brandon or Shauna from Firefly. Brandon and Shauna at Firefly are actually stuck in Galveston, Texas, because Laura decided to visit, i.e. Hurricane Laura. So everybody out there in Texas, our thoughts are with you guys because we got our wildfires over here. But that means Ben is here. And we got our first of our fruit in this week. First fruit came in yesterday. Second batch came in today. So Ben's been start of work for you, Ben. But I've got some videos and whatnot. But hi, Ben.
They're not normally going to see me during harvest. So today I broke away because this panel here would have been empty.
And I would have been talking to myself. And I know I can amuse myself in a corner, but I don't know for how long. Anyways, I am drinking the 17 Peters Vineyard. What is in your glass?
Well, today, it was in the refrigerator. I looked around. I didn't know what we were drinking today, but I was luckily happy to find a half a bottle of rosé in the refrigerator waiting for me. So it's rosé for this half of the day.
Oh, what are you going to drink for the other half? That's awesome.
It'll be something red.
Anytime your phone beeps, you're going to have to drink if you don't turn your phone off. That's my rule out there for everybody.
I'm here by popular demand, you know.
I was going to just tell Dan to shoot you a text so I could have another sip. Anyway, Yolanda's on. Thank you, Yolanda and Jamie. Awesome. Oh, Karen's jealous you're drinking rosé. I agree with you, Karen. But you know what the good news is? The first rosé is in the tanks.
It is, yeah.
Because how do we make rosé, Ben?
Well, we're going to show a picture of it somehow, but what the fruit as it's going up the conveyor belt to be sorted.
You want me to show the video while you?
We got a couple of videos. But
I do. Well, let me give you a snapshot of Ben's life today. Oh, Dan texted himself so I could drink. Hold on. I can't. Don't do it again. I got to put the video on. Okay, so this is first part of Ben.
Yeah, so this is our antique scale that came with this with Timbercrest Farms when they did fruit and vegetables from the 30s and 40s. Every year they come and test it. The state comes, so the county comes and checks our weights, and they say this is one of the best scales in the county. So it's very accurate, and we weigh all of our fruit on this antique, which we love.
You said it was accurate. I've been on it, and it's like 10 pounds over.
Only if you wish that, but it's accurate. They just came out today, and once a year they give it a test, and they put the little stamp on it, make sure it's done properly, and they say it's always accurate. So we weigh up to 150 tons of fruit on that little scale, which is kind of a kick operating it. You know, it's just a counterbalance scale, and it's fun.
I think you learned that stuff in like 8th grade, right? Adding the different weights.
Yeah, well, you should have learned some. In my day, they taught that.
Oh, well, I don't know what they
digital scales in those days. We just read, you know.
I just like the digital things. Preferably, it makes it just no mistakes that way either. But you guys might have noticed too, it was a little smoky out there because we are still in the midst of the Walbridge fire. We've got the huge fire out there, but it's like 19% contained. And once they have containment numbers, it's amazing. Our firemen and women are incredible. We could not be happier. So happy for them. So cheers to them. Cheers to everybody helping hurricanes. Murder hornets, the virus. Although if I'm correct, the murder hornet said, we'll come back another time when you're not so busy.
When it starts raining frogs.
When it starts raining frogs, I'm done. I'm in. Hi, Ron. Ron's on here. Awesome. Hey, Ron, did you ever get that cheese? I'm curious about. Okay, so then once the fruit comes in, we weigh the fruit, which is super duper cool. Then the grapes go into sorting, correct?
That's right. So we're going to show that, are we?
Here we go.
Yeah, so we take the bins at their half-ton bins and put them up on that machine. And the man in the yellow
jacket, he has a foot control that allows the fruit to dump onto the conveyor belt. And what they're doing, they're sorting for moog, material other than grapes. And it could be rocks or leaves or stems, frogs, even snakes. So they try to pick that out as it's going on the conveyor belt. But you notice the conveyor belt goes up. The loose juice there goes on the back of the end, and we collect that, and that becomes our rosé. It starts with I don't know why you can't see that. There we go. These are the grapes, these little bunches here. Lovely Pinot Noir, that's the right way. That's how it's supposed to be. Really tight little bunches of Pinot Noir grapes. Yeah. Tasty, aren't they tasty? They have seeds, so you got to go kind of treat it, see how far you can get with the seed.
I just hit Dan in the face.
There you go.
Wow. That was awesome. I don't want to see me spitting. You can eat the seeds, though, but I don't like to.
So as the fruit drops off the end of the conveyor belt, drops into the stemmer sort, what it does is it vibrates and separates the berry off of the stem. So the stems come out the back end and the fruit drops down, and we get whole berries out of that piece of equipment. And so it's almost pristine fruit when it drops into our fermenters.
Dropping into the fermenter, I wonder if I have a video for that. I do. Oh, yeah, I do. Hold on.
So you see the fruit dropping down there, and once we fill that to about 3/4 full, because once it starts fermenting, it'll push that cap up, and if we have too much fruit in there, it'll end up on the floor. So it gets very active in that bin. So we fill those bins. It takes about 3/4 of a ton for each one of those bins to fill them. And we, pardon me.
And no, keep going. You know what you're doing.
Oh, so once we get it in the bin, we mark it what vineyard it is, what clone it is, and the date it comes. That way we track it through all its fermentation. So today we'll do. I think we show a little dry ice on that. Do we have?
We do, but I'm having a question. What happens to the stems?
The stems go out the back end of the machine, and we collect those, and we have a service that comes and picks that up, and that is composted for compost. So it's not wasted at all.
I love it. Okay, so then when the wine goes into the fermenting bins, I think we do have some dry ice.
Yeah, so what we do is we top that with dry ice, and it forms CO2 coverage to keep the grapes fresh while we cold soak for 3 days. Now, we'll put this down at the end of the row, each bin, and we'll check it 3 times a day. In the morning, we test it. We test the sugar and the temperature, and that tells us a lot about waiting to get started. Once that temperature starts rising and we see the bricks, we try to look for 23 to 25 sugar content, which is called bricks, to start out with. And once we see that start moving down, we know the fermentation has started. So we add our cultured yeast to that. And it takes a couple of days for that to really get going. So during that period of time, we punch the grapes down. We punch the bin down to solids, because as it's fermenting it, the CO2 pushes the solids to the top, and that holds the heat in. And we want to break that cap up so that the heat is dispersed and the juice and skin make contact. So we do that 3 times a day during active fermentation. And so we test in the morning, we punch 3 times a day, so about every 8 hours. So it's around the clock. And by the time you get through with harvest, these guys are all buffed out with big muscles and that, because it's a hell of a lot of work.
And then they lose it throughout the year, and then they gain it back.
And then they drink too much and eat.
They drink too much, it goes to fat.
We have to get them back in shape.
And that, by the way, is all fruit that came in from Laris Vineyard, Laris Family Vineyards. Nick dropped off fruit this morning.
It was Mart that was dropped off this morning.
That was Mart. Okay. And we do all our fermentation in the bin. So you have some other wineries that do fermentation in tank, correct? They do fermentation in concrete.
fermenters. There's all manner of fermenters. We decided to use the small 1-ton bins. We have more control over it. So that way we can add the yeast we want to it. We can make the adjustments to that and actually have way more control with the small. It's so much more work. That's why people don't do it. They usually use 5 to 10 ton fermenters. Well, these are 3/4 ton fermenters. So you're doing, for one big tank, you're doing 10 times the work that you would have in a big tank. So, but I think we have more control over it, and it's based on the traditional old style Burgundy process.
When I was just given this, I guess that's Nick this morning.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah.
Nick is looking awesome. Job. Look at that, Nick.
Yeah.
Nick Larish dropped off his fruits. Must have been a little warm out there. We're talking about our back room. I'm just showing you guys this picture. This is our back space. So if you visit us, you've seen this, but my office door is the one to the left. They stick me in the very back of the building.
Your door is closed.
My door is closed. Ben's door is open. Oh, that's another way to say it. Ben's door, Ben will take a measuring tape and he will measure how far he can go close to my door to where he can literally pile the bins in the room. Now, most years, I don't even get to open my door all the way. I have to open my door a little, scooch out, close the door, and then I can walk out. So this whole room becomes full of bins. The only space between the bins are these little stools. So these little stools are thin like that because it'll be a bin, a stool, a bin. Because the staff stands on, not the staff, your guys stand on those stools and they do the punch down. So they lean over the bins to do a punch down. Now my question to you is, has anybody ever fallen into a bin while doing punch down?
Yeah, we actually have had some people that have fallen in, slipped, trying to be wise and walk along the top and slip and gone in. And we had our famous friend Vinny come and put his feet in there and play what was that song he said?
It's Clean Feet. It was called Red Red Wine.
Made sure that. But what is the wine? What was the name of that wine song he sang?
Red Red Wine.
Yeah, Red Red Wine. As he was playing and smushing with his feet.
Yeah, I think that was a 16 vintage, which was delicious, by the way. Oh, one more thing I want to show you on this picture is, can you see it? Oh, you really can't see it. Way over to the left, there's a little black hole. That's a fan in the wall, and we have some fans in the wall because we run the fans during harvest because
CO2
buildup.
Gets to very high levels during fermentation. So we run a lot of exhaust fans and fans in the building. We have sensors to tell when the CO2 is too high. We're very cautious about that. We don't want people running around laughing and when they're supposed to be working. You get real dizzy while you're
Great segue. I have a CO2 meter in my office, and occasionally the digital readout will say too high. And that's when we know, because we can't open our window. Yeah, so we the deal I made when I first signed on for my position was during harvest, every couple hours they must come back to the office and check on me, because who knows what can happen back there. Those of us, yeah, I have fun in the office, but it's not because of the CO2. It's because of this. Look how much I poured.
Look how full that is.
I said pour a large glass. There's a lot of crap going on in the world.
You're not taking any chances on that glass of wine. That's for sure.
I'm not going anywhere right now. I figure, why? What's the point of all of that? All right, so I do have one more video, but I forget what the video is at this point. Oh, the fermentation bins. Here we go.
Yeah, so that we get them lined up like that, and the whole place there'll be 150 to 200 bins. There'll be no place to walk except for the rows in between, and you can see the CO2 in there, and that helps us. We put a little sulfur in there, and it helps it mix the SO2 in there, so it protects it from mold, and we don't want it to start fermenting for 3 or 4 days anyway. We get nice cold soak for 3 or 4 days, and that extracts the color out of the skins. Then it'll tell us when it's ready. It'll start those things that we test for in the morning will start indicating when the fermentation starts. So
And fermentation is how long?
Well, it can 7 to 14 days. There's no specific. Slower fermentations are good. We like to go at least 7 to 10 days. Sometimes it takes longer depending on how ripe the grapes are. So usually between a week and 2 weeks, something like that.
And with and how many? Okay, so here's a math question for you. So fermentation in the bin, 7 to 14 days, but you're going to be getting grapes in for more time than that. So the first bins that are in, by the time the last grapes come in, it'll go in that bin because that's already been pressed and put into barrel. So you can use these bins multiple times because it's this rotation cycle, right?
Right. Yeah. Once they're through fermenting, then we'll put them into press, clean the bins out, and they're ready to go again for the next fruit. So from start to finish, let's say 14 days, we get it into press. We press all the solids, and we put the juice into a tank to settle. And about 2 or 3 days in the tank, the heavy sediment drops to the bottom. And then we'll fill our barrels, and the aging process will start. So each clone will be kept separate. Each vineyard will be kept separate through this first few months of aging until spring when we do our blends.
And if you ever come out if you've ever been out during this time, well, maybe give it another week or so before you come out. But if you ever come out during this time or have been out, I love the smell, the fermentation smell. You can drive down the roads in wine country and you have that fermentation grape smell. I think your daughter had said they used to put towels underneath their doors in their bedrooms because the fermentation smell, which they thought was normal growing up, and permeated the house when you made the wine in your garage.
Yeah, we did that for almost 20 years. And during the height of fermentation, the CO2 was wild. So any hole underneath the door or vents or anything had to have a towel wrapped up and stuck in there so the CO2 would stay downstairs and not come.
I met both your daughters, and that explains a lot.
Yeah,
no, I don't think either one of them are on, so I said that. So, I am kidding. But that smell doesn't. Out here we call it a Kristen Port. Yeah, that's true. That smell doesn't stick to your clothing or anything, right?
Not really, but
smelling like fermenting fruit.
No, but if you park your car in the garage during that time, it gets into your radiator and stuff, and it smells like vinegar, which is, it takes a month or so for that to go bye-bye. But
that's not good. So that's why you made wine in your garage instead of parking your car there.
Oh, yeah, the cars were outside. The wine was inside.
Yeah, priorities. I think that's very fair. So the only fruit that's come in so far is Booker, which
we
goes.
got Booker yesterday. We got 2 clones from Booker. We kind of picked them because John was on the edge of that fire, and from his ridge you could see the next ridge over the flames, and it got pretty close to John. John Booker, besides being a vineyard guy, he also has about 800 head of cows
That's right.
Dairy. Yeah. And he does organic dairy products. So, yeah. So he was in kind of he was going in 18 directions at one time. His cows are calving now. So they're giving the fire and the vines all at the same time. And he's kind of like running around a bit out of his mind.
I'm hoping he's drinking some wine.
Well,
But Booker, the fires did miss him, Wendy, and his dairy cows. I offered to take 2. I was going to foster 2 cows if needed. My kids were not happy with me at all. They said they didn't know what was going to happen, but maybe it was going to be picking up the stuff. I don't know. Anyways, he's fine, right? The fires missed him.
Pretty much, yeah. I think today when I was leaving the winery, there was 5 brand new fire trucks to the area coming in. So they're moving assets around to try to knock this fire out. The smoke has been with us, and it's a bit unnerving, to say the least, how smoky it's been up there. So some of the vineyards are out of the zone, so they got plenty of wind, like Peters and Laris have been clear. We are going to check for smoke. I'm not so concerned because the last time we had smoke taint was 2008 in the Anderson Valley. and that fire went for two months or longer because it was way in the backcountry and it was very difficult to fight. So they only hit the hot spots and let it burn out. But the smoke settled in those valleys and sat on those vines for several months. And through osmosis, it took it into the vines. And we did notice and tested for smoke taint when the one vineyard that was affected in 2008. The unfortunate thing is they write about all the vineyards and kind of write everything off, and it hurts everybody when it's only very sporadic where the damage is done. So
you're right. It did hurt everybody because I'm going to say the name. Our OA Charles is in Anderson Valley, and everyone was upset about it. And because of that, the winery was extremely generous and just said to us staff, just take home all the OA Charles because no one's going to buy it because of the media. And you know what? It was delicious. There wasn't a smokiness to it. There was no fire sale. There wasn't any of those bits to it. You know, and you can get smoke in your wine like a smokehouse, that bacon. This is not the smoke we're talking about. The wine was delicious. So that was a win-win for us.
I think they made too much out of it. And that particular one, there was smoke taint, and we drank some wines that were highly affected. But, you know, it doesn't happen that often. You know, it's not like Australia that has that problem a lot. So
I can't taste any smoke in these. Not that I think I know what I'd be tasting for, but these are delicious. Just trying to strip it on my skin.
We send all of our fruit out to the lab, have them analyzed. We do that anyway for all of our wines, but we'll also send these out and have the smoke taint test on it to see. So we'll have results in a couple of days. But I'm pretty optimistic that once again, this is third or fourth year or something like that. We have not had a problem, and it hasn't been a problem for us, even though we've had 3 fires here. So hopefully this year will be the same.
Wendy's saying, she's like, I think she said, you really need dense smoke for a long time.
Yeah, so.
Which actually does make sense. And the wind is always shifting, right? Some days are clear, some days are smoky. Ben and I both live in Windsor. We live about, I don't know how far from the crow flies, whatnot from work, but we'll be at home and it's smoky. I lost Ben. Well, screw you, Ben. He's out. What? I think I must have lost Ben. So now you're stuck with me, everybody. Sorry about that. Oh, Michael's saying the 08 Savoy was affected. Yeah, the 08, I didn't taste a ton of smoke. I don't know what to do with just myself. This is hilarious. You guys got to ask me questions. I didn't taste a lot of smoke in the 08 Charles. We were thrilled. We got to take the Magnums and the 750 home. They were fantastic. So we were really happy about that.
And the other vineyards we've got coming in.
Oh, the other vineyards we have coming in. Peters, Charles, Campbell Ranch. He's testing me right now. Vinoy. Do we still get Vinoy? That's all I know.
Vinoy.
Oh, we're probably still going to get more layers. We get a lot of layers. We get a lot of Peters, which is.
Who else is on here that might be?
Oh, Nunez. Wendy, speak up. Tell me he'll be back. Oh, Wendy says he'll be back. Yeah, there he is. He's back.
Somehow I got somebody got mad at me and.
No, I said screw you if you want to leave me on my own.
What did I do now? I got dropped.
Did you run out of wine?
No, it just turned off. I was looking at a blank screen there.
I was looking at a big screen and just me.
2020.
Oh my God, it's 2020. It is the murder hornets. Dang it. Where do you store the grapes? Oh, Ron, we don't store the grapes pretty much. When the grapes come in, they go right in, right?
We have the building next door is refrigerated. So when we get a big load of fruit, we'll put half of it in the refrigerator and hold it till we can get to it. So we'll work all day. We try to process all the fruit on the day it's picked. There are days when it comes really late. We'll work the shift as long as we can because we have about a couple of 3 hours of cleanup after we use the equipment. It takes a long time to clean up. So the next morning, very early, we'll take the what grapes we didn't deal with out of the refrigeration, and then we'll start again. And by that time, we'll be working. The new grapes will come. So it's pretty seamlessly.
What a cycle you got. Well, you have it down pat. You've been doing it for a while, and it's a pretty good cycle. You have a lot of the same people. We have a lot of family members that are up there sorting grapes. Super cool. It's a very sticky job.
Ooh, it's very sticky.
Yeah, I did it once. I didn't know there was a foot lever though. See, I learned something new as well.
So Lucinda, who was in the yellow jacket, has a foot control that once the bin is on the platform, he raises the platform up so it'll dump fruit. You don't want to dump the whole thing on the conveyor belt. It would be too hard to go through it. So he drops a little bit at a time and measures it. And so they're picking through the moog to try to remove that. And then as it goes pretty fast, we do like 3 tons an hour, I guess.
No, watching it on the conveyor actually makes me a little nauseous.
Yeah, I've had people up there that got dizzy and said, "Oh, I can't take that."
It does. It gets you dizzy. What is the strangest thing of moog, matter other than grapes, that you have found in all of your years?
Well, we've had frogs, which is not that rare, and I think one time we had a little gardener snake, but that it just comes in the bins. I mean,
so this is not vegetarian.
Well, basically it is because we pick it out. Yeah.
Well done. I heard about a glove once being found.
Yeah, gloves. I mean, rocks are really not good either because they get stuck on the bottom of the boxes and they fall and if you don't catch them, they go through that machine and that's not a good sound.
I don't want them going through that machine.
No, you wouldn't want that.
No, not at all.
Everything. The equipment we have is really made for doing Pinot Noir. It's a clean little operation, and it really, really works very well for doing Pinot Noir. And,
are there different grape? So the what's the word when it goes in and it gets pulled? Thank you, the destemmer. Are there different styles of destemmer based on varietal?
Well, there's all kinds of different ones. They have ones that are really expensive that has a visual. Will sort by visual. So you don't even need people there. But those are very, very expensive, like the big Gallo ones, they use those. For us, we use it's manually operated. But so this one vibrates, and they have a different basket inside with the square holes in them. And the belts that run the stems outside. If we're doing Zinfandel, we change those because the Zinfandel berry is bigger than the Pinot berry. So we'll have to another basket and the rollers will change when we do Zinfandel.
I have learned 2 things today.
Yeah, and then for Chardonnay, when we do Chardonnay, it doesn't go through there at all. We put the Chardonnay directly into the press and press the whole bunches, the whole
and rosé doesn't go through there at all.
What's that?
Rosé doesn't go through there at all.
No, it doesn't. No. It's like the Chardonnay and the rosé are fermented without skins.
Now we don't save the excess juice for Zin, do we?
Do the what?
The excess juice for Zin, like Zin when it comes
No,
in?
we don't use that for the rosé.
Put you on the spot there. I apologize. So
all Pinot. It's 100% Pinot rosé.
I know it's what the bottle says, but
Zin juice is saved and put back
Zin
in the
juice
bin.
is saved and put back in the bins.
Well, that part if it's gone, it's gone. We don't try to rescue it.
We can only do so much, people. I love it. Ben, you're incredible. All right, well, I know you have been working all day, and so I'm going to wrap up. But a couple of things I will say. Tomorrow we've got our first Wine and Cheese virtual. I know Yolanda's on. You're going. It's going to be super cool. We have our second date, which is going to be October 15th with Point Reyes. But we scored really well at North Coast Wine Challenge. Super excited. Ben's back with me on September 9th, and we have Steve Falk, who is one of the sponsors, whatnot. He's
the CEO of the Press Democrat. He was my old boss at the Chronicle. And so I've known Steve for many, many years. And he was always interested in wine. I ran into him one time while he was at the Chronicle. We went to a Napa wine auction at Nichols and Nichols at Farniente. And and they also have a huge car collection there of Ferraris.
Mhm.
So the guy he was with was the finance guy for the Chronicle, and he had a Ferrari, and so they were looking at. So I ran into Steve there, and then then he came to the Press Democrat, and because he's a big wine nut, he started the North Coast Wine Challenge.
Nice. And we
Yeah,
spoke pretty well. We just sent out an email yesterday with the 4 wines, but we're gonna taste those, chat with Steve, pick his brain. I have a feeling you guys may not hear from me because Steve likes to talk. Ben, you're phenomenal. That'll be fun. And then
in the old days, you'd be the referee.
I am going to be the referee. I got to figure out about
Days because I represented labor and he represented management.
Oh,
So-
I don't know how to referee. Oh my God, I'm going to get a black and white shirt. I'm going to get a referee shirt for that. You see it come through on the credit card on Amazon. You know what it is. Anyways, everybody, thank you guys for joining us. Best of luck to everybody with the hurricane out there. Anybody out here with these fires. Anybody who happens to see a murder hornet. Pandemic, wear your mask, be safe, yada, yada, right? You know what? Shelter in place, just drink Pinot, drink wine, enjoy. And hey, Ben, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Cheers. And I'm
Cheers.
coming to the house for a bottle of
Thanks
rosé.
for joining us. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Till next week.